Close your eyes for a second. Imagine waking up. It's dark. Completely, absolutely dark. You try to move your arm, but you hit a wooden lid right in front of your face. You try to sit up, but you bang your head. You scream, but the sound comes out muffled. You realize where you are. You're in a coffin, 6 feet underground. You've been buried alive. This nightmare has haunted humanity for thousands of years. Edgar Allan Poe wrote stories about it. Victorians invented safety coffins with alarm systems. But what actually happens to your body if you're trapped underground? How much air do you have? What kills you first? Suffocation, fear, or thirst? And is there any chance of escape? Today, we're running the scariest experiment yet. We're burying you alive and tracking every minute of your journey. Spoiler, you have more time than you think, but that doesn't mean you should relax. Let's go. The first thing you feel is panic. Not just psychological, it's physical. Your brain gets a signal. Darkness, tight space, no air, danger. It floods your blood with adrenaline. Your heart starts racing at 180 beats per minute. That's normal for this situation. You start pounding on the coffin lid, screaming, trying to break the wood. Stop. Don't do that. Not yet. Because the scariest thing right now isn't the lack of air. It's you. Why shouldn't you panic right now? There's air in the coffin. About 900 liters. That's the size of a washing machine. You'll have enough air for, well, we'll get to that. But if you thrash around and scream, you'll burn through oxygen 10 times faster. So rule number 1, calm down. Easy to say, right? Let's do the math. A standard coffin is about 6.5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 1.5 feet high. The air volume inside is roughly 900 liters. That air contains about 180 liters of oxygen. An adult at rest consumes about 0.5 liters of oxygen per minute. So if you just lie still and breathe calmly, you have enough oxygen for about 6 hours. But there's a problem. You don't just breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. And CO is heavier than oxygen. It will sink to the bottom of the coffin, right where your face is. After 2 to 3 hours, the carbon dioxide concentration will get so high that you'll start suffocating. Even if there's still oxygen left, you won't be able to absorb it. This is called hypercapnia. You'll feel headache, nausea, dizziness. Then you'll lose consciousness. After 5 to 6 hours, you'll die from suffocation unless the CO gets you sooner. But that's in ideal conditions. In reality, things might happen faster. You've decided that lying around waiting to die isn't your style. You start pushing against the lid. A standard coffin is made of wood or particle board. The walls are about 1 inch thick. Above you, there's a layer of soil. At 6 feet deep, the weight of the dirt above you is about 1.5 tons. That's like a car parked on your chest. You're never breaking that lid with your bare hands, even if you're the Rock. But here's the thing. Fresh graves aren't packed solid. The dirt is loose at first. In the first few minutes, theoretically, if you're incredibly strong and the coffin is weak, you might push through. But even if you do, you'll be buried in soil. You'll suffocate in the dirt faster than in the coffin. Conclusion: escaping on your own is almost impossible. Almost. Let's say you just lie there and wait. Here's what happens to your body. Hour 1. You're conscious. The panic has subsided. You hear your heartbeat. Every pulse echoes in your ears. The silence is so loud you think you can hear blood flowing through your veins. Hour 2. Your head starts to hurt. The air feels stale. It's like breathing through cotton. The carbon dioxide is doing its work. Hour 3. You feel nauseous, dizzy. You start losing your sense of space. It feels like the coffin is spinning, even though it's perfectly still. Hour 4. You lose consciousness. Your brain shuts down to save oxygen. You don't feel pain. You don't feel fear. You just sleep. Hour 5. Breathing becomes shallow. Your heart beats weaker and weaker. Almost no oxygen left. Hour 6. Brain death. You're gone. But this isn't the end of the story. Your body keeps living its own life. 24 hours later, the bacteria in your gut, which help digest your last meal, are out of work. They have nothing left to eat but you. They start multiplying and feasting on your insides. This process is called putrefaction. The gases released by bacteria bloat your body. You can double in size. 48 hours later, your skin turns blue-green. A corpse smell starts to emanate, not that it matters to anyone in the coffin. 1 week later, your hair and nails fall off. The myth that they keep growing after death is an illusion. Your skin just dries and shrinks, making it look like they grew. 1 month later, your body has turned into liquid and soft tissue. Only bones, teeth, and maybe some synthetic clothing remain. 1 year later, you're a skeleton. In the 19th century, this fear was so common it had its own name, taphophobia, and it had real reasons. Back then, there were no modern instruments to determine death accurately. Doctors sometimes made mistakes. People with lethargic sleep, where you look dead, but aren't, were occasionally buried. There are documented cases where exhumed bodies were found in unnatural positions. They had tried to claw their way out. The most famous case, in 1905, an English undertaker was buried with a bell in his hand. A string from the bell went up to the surface. If he woke up, he could ring it. Thankfully, the bell never rang. Because of this fear, Victorians invented safety coffins. They had air tubes, flags you could raise from inside bells, even systems with lights. Some people requested that their heads be cut off before burial, just to be sure they wouldn't wake up in the grave. Today, your chances of being buried alive are practically zero. Why? 1. Embalming. In most countries, bodies are treated with chemicals that kill every cell. If you weren't dead before embalming, you will be during it. 2. Doctors. Modern medicine can determine death by measuring brain activity. Mistakes are extremely rare. 3. Morgues. Bodies are kept in morgues for days before burial. If you woke up, you'd wake up there. But there are exceptions. In some cultures and religions, Islam, Judaism, burial happens very quickly, often without embalming. The chance exists, but it's still minuscule. Imagine you wake up in a coffin. You're alive. What do? 1. Do not panic. This is hard, but panic will kill you faster than lack of air. Breathe slowly and evenly. 2. Conserve oxygen. Don't scream continuously. If you scream, do it in short bursts so someone on the surface might hear. 3. Create a signal. If you have a coin or anything metal, tap on the coffin. Sound travels through soil better than you'd think. 4. Try to create space. If the coffin is wood, try to pry off a board or push against the lid with your feet. Yes, the dirt is heavy, but sometimes you can create a small gap that lets air in. 5. Pray for modern coffin makers. Some coffins today have tiny gaps that allow airflow. Maybe you got lucky. Real survival cases, yes, these cases exist. In 2015, a woman in Kenya was mistakenly declared dead and buried. Hours later, someone heard screams from the grave. They dug her up. She survived. In 2020, a man in India woke up on the way to his own cremation. He started banging from inside and was saved. In the 18th century, a nun named Teresa Newman would fall into lethargic sleep and be considered dead multiple times. Luckily, doctors never got around to burying her, so there's a chance. A small one, but it exists. We ran the experiment. We buried you alive and tracked every hour underground. What did we learn? 1. You have about 3 to 5 hours before carbon dioxide starts killing you. 2. Escaping on your own is nearly impossible, but you can try to signal. 3. Modern medicine makes this mistake almost impossible. 4. The fear of being buried alive is ancient, but today it's practically baseless. Now a question for you. What would you do in the first minute if you woke up in a coffin? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious who's a panicker and who's a cold-blooded strategist. And if you want a part 2 where we bury you somewhere even worse like a pyramid or a cave, smash that like button. At 1,000 likes, I'll make What If You Were Walled Up Alive. Subscribe to Wire Animation so you don't miss the next journey into the scariest corners of your imagination. And sweet dreams. Try not to think about this video before bed.